Hey everyone, welcome back to Evoked Thoughts. I'm Alex. I'm going to be hosting this episode. Today we're going to be talking about adaptations, but first I want to just talk a little about the situation we have with YouTube. Not really much of a situation, but just the new setup. This will be the first episode we're recording that we plan on sending to YouTube. Prior we were using Podbean, which is a fine site. It just didn't fit with our needs. And we were looking at other hosting services that maybe could fill what we were looking at, and we might eventually move to another service as well, but if nothing else, you can count on this being, Evoked Thoughts being here on YouTube. That'll be a constant. It might just also end up on other places eventually, but we appreciate your patience with us as we went through that whole journey of transferring files and services. But it's situated now, and from here moving forward, you should be able to expect a bi-weekly upload schedule. So look out for the next episode in 2 weeks from now. Also, amongst other changes, we had the idea of not immediately jumping into the topic of conversation. Instead, we wanted to explore a different idea, something that could be per the name of the podcast, could evoke some thoughts, either just within you, the audience, but more specifically us, the cast. The idea is, before we get into the topic of conversation and start having that discussion, whoever's hosting is going to ask a question to the other cast members. And so I'm going to do this now. The question I'm going to pose to you is, when was the first time you can remember feeling the most like yourself? So now I'm going to throw it to Rios.
Oh boy. Well, I'll
give
tell
us
you.
a juicy answer.
That's really funny. Being that my name is no longer Tommy, just so to address that, it's the same guy, same voice. I've gone through a long spiritual journey, trying to find out who am I, like the Jackie Chan movie, but that reference didn't work. But I don't know. I tried to be cool. I tried to be like maybe I could be like Tommy R. That's a cool moniker. It didn't work. It doesn't work. My name's Rios. I love that name. Everyone knows me by that name. It's my last name. It's the most suitable name for me. So now I will be known as Rios, as I always have been, as I always will be. Rios. Now to answer your question, when have I felt the most like myself?
Yeah, the most like in tune with what you were feeling, what you wanted. You felt solid in who and what you were.
Ooh, I actually can name this one. So I think that Jay was actually kind of there. I there was a whole span of time where I was really confused. I always reference this time in my life as the year of enlightenment.
No,
And
he
yeah,
doesn't.
that's a little.
He really doesn't ever say it that way.
I don't ever say it like that. It's honestly my year. It's just my 1 year bender. We'll put it at that.
Yeah,
That's very apropos.
My 1 year bender where I came out with something good in the end.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The year is
I
usually
was
what we call
drinking.
that
Yeah.
year.
My hair was long. I think I was 175. And
You were
just for you
definitely
guys to
fat.
know, I don't know if anyone knows this yet because I haven't had me being on film or anything. I'm like 5'6", so I'm a little short dude. 175 on me looks fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I
It was
look
rough.
like a little pudgy, like freaking. What would you call it? And
man.
ooh.
Barrel?
Also,
I think a munchkin is a really good word
yeah.
for you.
So also imagine all that with like a neck beard.
Yes.
Or no, not a neck beard, a chin strap.
Yep.
It was a full chin strap. I shaved everything and just made this very deep chin strap. And it wasn't the thin one that most people, like Latino guys do and everything. No. It was a thick chin strap. And it looked fucking terrible. Combined with a mustache. So it just didn't work. I tried to do something new, You know that satyr from Hercules?
Jesus.
That was me. I was like the satyr from Hercules' cousin. That was me. Anyways, in that time,
Hang on. You dare compare yourself to a character voiced by Danny DeVito?
Oh my god, he was?
Oh, that's apropos too.
I didn't even know.
So now feel your shame and continue answering
Okay,
the
okay.
question.
Just to wrap it up, I had that whole year where I was just trying to find myself, honestly, and I didn't really solidify my place with Evo or what I really wanted yet. I'd always done it in high school, stuff like that. We've always been meeting up. It was my off kind of thing. But yeah, I didn't know what I wanted. I would go, and I think that's everyone in that age range. You would go from like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. Some people I find rarely actually know what they want out of life. At that age. I think there was at one point I was gonna be a welder, a barber, like freaking. I just went everywhere, dude. Private investigator. Thought it was cool.
You really did.
I really did, dude.
For like 8 months, dude.
For
You
8
really,
months.
really thought you were gonna be a private investigator.
I don't
was
know
like,
why.
I don't think it's really a thing.
It's
man.
not a thing.
It is, but it's just finding out if someone is cheating on their spouse.
Yeah, I was like, I just
Exactly.
don't think it's like a real thing. Like it's not a fucking film noir. I think it's like a
No.
bottom of the barrel. Like this is the best you could do. You couldn't be a real detective.
But
kind
then
of
I
thing.
realized too. Well, before we get to that,
No offense to any PRs listening.
No, no, no.
PIs.
Then
PRs.
this one's gonna get a little controversial. Maybe, I don't know. So I have a lot of military in my family, like a lot. Like I have an uncle, like several uncles that are Marines, some cousins that are in the Army. Grandmother in the Navy, grandfather in the Marines. Like I got a lot of military in my family. So I guess I was hanging around my uncle a lot, and it was really kind of pushing me to go that route. And it's not something I ever really wanted, but they do a great job at advertising. Like, this is a place where you can find yourself and better yourself, and you get all these benefits. And I'm like, well, shit, someone who's, not in the best place in life right now and super scared and not knowing if I could even, approach my dreams or anything. Like, of course I was going to do it. And I think I was like a week away from getting shipped off to boot. I did everything. I went and did maps, all that shit. And then, like, I really kind of realized, I was like, dude, this is just not me, man. Like, I'm kind of this creature that thrives off of, like, freedom and doing what the fuck you want. And, I don't know. It could be deeper. I'm not going to get too into it, but no, it just wasn't me. So I ended up having a conversation with Jalen in a car, and we talked about it. And he really was like, "Dude, I don't think that's really you, man. Like I don't know. I'm not gonna like sit here and define what your life's gonna be, but like I'll tell you as a friend, and we've been friends for like 7 years. I think at that time it was a little less, but he's like, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I'll tell you one thing. Like I really don't think that's for you, man." And I was like, yeah, I don't know why I have this weird pseudo obligation to like follow in the steps of like all of my family. Like, fuck that, dude. I'm not gonna be like chained to that. So I just thought about it. I'm like, dude, I keep wanting to do all these things, but they all sound cooler in my head than what they actually are. Not to say that they aren't cool. I'm not taking away from anything, But to me, what I visioned them as just sounded cooler in my head. And I'm like, dude, I could make them cooler. I could just do that. To me, I could write them. I've always just offhandedly written stuff. And I think it was in that moment, it was a couple days later, where I just started walking because I love walk. I don't know. It's a great way to clear the head. I was walking. Funny enough, I hear birds out right now. It was the same kind of birds here in Oklahoma. And I was walking, I started getting on this thought of, yeah, this is what I want to do, dude. But then there was fear. There was fear of, is it feasible? Is it that? Can this happen? I don't know. It later led me to have a bottle of, I don't even know what. Like, that whole walk lasted, like, hours. I just kept fucking walking. I used to run cross country, so for me, just going long distances, I learned to turn my brain off. And I remember ending it at my dad's house, laying on this trampoline. I'd finished a bottle of something. I don't even remember what it is at this point, but I got a hold of it. I don't know. We don't need to talk about it. But I drank, I laid, I looked at the stars, I cried, and I realized that the me that is me is free, and I wanted to be a writer. And I wanted to pursue things with Evo, and I wasn't gonna let anything stop me, whether that be myself, my fears, or anything. So yeah, that was that moment.
Alright.
Sorry for going so long, but
No.
yeah.
You went the time you need to tell the story.
Yeah.
That's the point of this. Also, to clarify, neither Jalen nor Rios knew the question before I asked it about 5 minutes ago. I just dropped that on them. So, moving now to Jay.
Yeah, man. So the first time that I really felt like myself.
Yeah, you felt like you knew who and what you were.
You know, I think every kid really does have a lot of answers to that question. The what do you want to be when you grow up, or what are you going to do, or what's all this going to look like in 10 years? And I really, really thought I had an answer for a long time that I wanted to be a video game designer. I always loved video games, and I still do love video games as a medium. I think there's something that is just, it's unmatched, the kind of freedom that you have and the ability to tell stories through that medium is enhanced by the fact that the players can affect it so much. Um, and it was something I always wanted to do, and it came really late, I think, in my life that I found that there's no real direct path to that. We live in Oklahoma. It's not a place where there's really an opportunity to just go to, you know, a school that's going to teach that kind of vocation. Um, you have to kind of go through these like third party channels in college and try to find little electives and sort of intersperse them with some kind of computer degree. And I'm really, really excruciatingly atrocious at math. So dealing with anything like that required a lot of prerequisite math classes to take any kind of real like technological um, computer based majors. It was like, especially for me, because I had remedial math class, so I had to take that, and then I had like three other initial, like, you know, the beginning of actual real big boy math, and then like the extended big boy math. I was like, okay, well, I'm still very, very not aware of how any of this works, and really not going to be able to do this, especially when my counselor told me that I was going to have to take two math classes in one semester. I was like, that's like way too much math. So I determined, I mean, we had our college episode already, but through all of college, I tried a lot of things, recognizing that a video game designer and a tech degree wasn't really something I could do. I went into college with the work of just kind of being, okay, well, maybe I go the business side and build my own video game company. But the more I understood about the medium and about the industry, the more research I did, it just doesn't work that way either. The American dream isn't what it used to be in the sense that you can just say, I want to do this and then make it happen. I think there's still ways to do that, but it requires some sort of work very early on, I think. If I'd been taking classes in middle school or in high school and really putting the time in and trying to figure that out, then maybe it would have been different. But now, when I was in college, I was like, yeah, okay, I really can't just start from the beginning here because everyone else around me has been doing this for however long, at least knows how to code something or whatever. So, but then, yeah, with business, it was the same kind of thing where it was a bunch of math classes and it was a bunch of prerequisites, and it was really ultimately just not what I wanted to do either. And I spent a lot of time trying to find my solution. I mean, I worked really hard as a kid to get into college, and it seemed like it was the right thing. It seemed like it was the answer, like you did it. It was kind of a trophy, a victory. You're like, I got out of high school, now I got accepted into a college, now I do the college stuff, and then boom, I'm a dude with a degree. And yeah, it didn't happen that way at all. I worked through like three different majors and it ended up at a general studies major, and was like, this isn't going to work for me either. I don't know where I want any of this to go anymore. I know I want to ultimately make games. That'd be great, but like, I have no idea how to get there. And between me and this is this massive gap of what, trying to make my way out to the West Coast and get an internship at like a studio or something. It's just there was no there was nothing I could go home and tell my mother, "Hey, this is what I'm doing now." You know? And so I ended up dropping out, and when I did, I found myself, I've been writing forever, but it was never really anything too excessively complete. It was just a lot of different disparate ideas and a lot of different conversations I had and little pieces I started, but nothing finished. Uh, and after I dropped out, literally, God, I'd say like 2 months after, I had picked back up a book that I'd been writing about a year before I dropped out, and I finished it. And I think in doing that and like hiring one of my friends who's a copy editor out of college to help me edit the book and spending the time really completing a project for the first time, there were all these emotions, that came with that completion. Because first I told everyone who's always wanted me to finish something, but always known me never to, and that was a really amazing thing, hearing them all be so excited about it, and being able to really show people something finished has been, really amazing. But then it was also the like, this is done now. So what can I do with this? Can I publish this? Can I like sell this? And contrary to popular belief, no, those things are completely impossible. Selling and publishing books, that's not something people do. Not fucking easily. Because then I spent the next 8 months or so trying to petition editors and or not editors, agents and studios, and trying to get published. And yeah, that's a rough journey that I'm still trying to kind of navigate. But what I found through all of that, through the completion of this novel and the showing of it to people, and really getting there, was that yeah, I too wanted to be a writer, and that more than anything I've ever done in my life, it was the most satisfying and not freeing, but just open thing that you could do. There was no boundary, there was no limitation, there is no barrier to your creation. You can just I built an entire world and told a story in it, and that was something really, really just satisfying. And since then I've determined that yeah, that's definitely who I am and what I want to do, and we're going to keep doing it. And hopefully we keep telling better and greater stories.
We need more questions like this. I like discussing our origins.
Don't worry. This is the trend now. We're going to have these questions every episode.
I also like the idea of getting asked the question of why I write and what I'm trying to do, because
Hey, next time you host, maybe you ask that question.
I might ask that question.
Because when you ask the question, you also answer it, as I'm going to do now.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, I actually don't have a proper answer to my own question. There's no one point in time that it kind of locked into place for me. I'm not going to get too far into the specifics of what I'm about to say, just for not wanting to discuss liberties of my personal life, but throughout junior and senior year of high school, I was in therapy and going through life, and actually the therapy wasn't new. I'll own up to this, that I've had all kinds of anger issues throughout my life as a child and leading up into high school and all of that. Therapy wasn't new, but the change was I kind of had started to reevaluate the kind of position I was in as a person. For anyone that's gone to therapy, even just kind of casually, you see the bulk of your sessions is boiled down to a folder of papers. And not that that's what you are to your therapist. If you have a good therapist, you're a person to that therapist, but they keep notes on, what you talked about, how you've been doing, but you can just be boiled down to a folder of papers. And I had this kind of, over a long while of kind of self-reflection and self-analysis, self-criticism, all those self-isms, came to a kind of just, I guess, epiphany. I hate that word. It feels pretentious, but epiphany that regardless of whatever any of those folders of papers say about me, it doesn't change that, I am me, in the most basic of senses, which is not profound in the slightest. Yes, I am in fact me, but it more meant to me that regardless of whatever any personal issues I have, whatever impulses, thoughts, ideas I have, my actions are on the whole still my own. I control what I choose to do. That's wholly my choice. If I have, something wrong with me, that might influence what I think about doing or feel like I can do or all these things, but that's all, that's all cognition, that's all thoughts. In the end, my actions are purely my own. And I kind of just decided that I would both stop fearing that folder of papers as well as embrace it. Because whatever those folders of papers said about me, they would be honest and kind of show me where I can grow as a person. And on top of that, just period of self-reflection, so junior year was the first time I was in a musical, and it was so much fun. There was such a community there, and I've been a storyteller or, a jokester, all these things since I was a kid. But that was the first time I was a part of telling a story when I saw immediately my audience's reaction. Never had that before. And so when I went into this musical as a senior, and whenever we really started D&D senior year, and I sat down as a DM for the first time, and I had that same experience again in both those things of I'm a part of a creation, a product of something that I'm immediately seeing my audience's reaction, and that felt so sublime. And I kind of it clicked that on the whole, I just kind of consider myself a creator and a performer. I don't think myself really much a writer. I've done the writing thing, and I have writing projects, but they're not my focus. I'm frankly not great at them on my own. They take a long while, but being a part of someone else's creation, helping them achieve a vision they have, or telling a story that is important to someone, that was the best feeling in the world. So, to answer my own question, the junior senior year of high school kind of set that stage for me to I did a pun.
Oh yeah, it was definitely the first time for sure.
But you set the stage to.
Oh God.
I didn't even mean to.
Did you just get it, Rios?
It just hit me, and I remembered how he used to be. I'm sorry to interrupt it, but you freaking, when I first met you, again, this was not our first meeting, but our second meeting when we were significantly older, motherfucker introduced himself as, I'm the punster. Or was it punster? It was something. You were like, I am puns. And all you would do was just puns.
That's really true.
All the time.
That was all my high school.
That was all his high
that's
school.
Really true.
Now,
loved
granted,
puns.
they were good.
They were.
I'm good at puns, motherfuckers.
He's good at puns, but they're puns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he never stopped.
No, I'm still that guy. I just recognize, you know what? It's better. It for anyone that enjoys puns as much as I do. Here's a tip. Yes, you're gonna get that reaction you want if you constantly make puns. However, if you're sparse with them and only let out the really good ones, people will have forgotten that you make puns, and then will be suddenly
No.
reminded
No.
that you make puns.
But the problem is when you do that, the puns, they build up inside you, and subconsciously your body releases them every once in a while. As per just now, your stage comment.
Dude, honestly,
that
though,
does
you did it. I completely forgot that was a thing until just now, and all the memories just hit me in the back of the head like a fucking bat. Just BAM!
But yeah,
The Lord of Puns.
Lord of puns. He
I
never
am
left.
the lord of the puns, said he. But yeah, that's my own story of self-reflection and agony. Everyone's gonna have one. If you feel the urge to share your own, hey, throw that down in the comments. We can have a conversation about that. If you don't feel comfortable about it, I understand. This is more for you to get to know us more than anything.
Yeah, you guys went in your childhood. Jeez.
But yeah, so that out of the way, that fun new idea, we're gonna be exploring it, kind of just seeing how it feels on us. We'll probably be doing it for the next couple episodes. I don't think it's going away. I think we all kind of like the idea of it. It might evolve and change, but I think the idea is gonna stick around. Let us know what you think, though. But on to the now topic, adaptations. We're gonna be talking about ways that animals evolve to better suit their environment.
What?
Is that not it?
Wait.
No, the other one, sir. The other one.
Oh,
Shit, I
right.
wasn't prepped for that. I like platypuses.
I think it's platypi, and also,
I think it's
yes,
platypeople.
my favorite pie.
Maybe
I'm fucking
bears.
with,
They're pretty cool.
Jalen and Rios here. We're talking about adaptations of media, where you get, so you have your favorite book and it gets turned into a movie, or you have your favorite movie and it's turned into a video game, or you have a favorite, animated show and it gets turned into a live-action movie, that kind of thing. We're gonna be talking about what that goes to whenever a story transitions media forms. We're gonna be talking about that because I think, as all of us are creators in some regard, it's something very relevant to us, and I'm sure we have thoughts on. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna throw it to, I don't know, eeny, meeny, miny. Do either of you want to go first about, because all of us have brought
Something to the table.
I think all of us are movies. A movie that was adapted from something else that we wanted to then share about. Was that a good adaptation? Was it a bad adaptation? And either way, why was it that way? Do either want to go first?
I could go.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Go.
My movie is the Dragon Ball Evolution movie for any of you anime fans, and even if you're not an anime fan, I think everyone, not everyone, but most teenage boys and some girls, grew up, watching Dragon Balls of some sort or any kind of anime.
I think everyone,
Or you
probably
might,
knows the
everyone
name
knows.
Dragon
It's
Ball.
a big thing.
I don't
Dragon
think
Ball, Dragon Ball
even
Z.
if they don't haven't watched it ever or really know what it is, I think they probably know the name.
So, I don't know if anyone remembers, but they made a live-action movie.
Oh boy, they did.
And
Oh boy, they tried.
one thing that I think we can all agree on, and I was actually not on the... I never agreed this before until I started writing myself and then really kind of discovering what that meant to me. I don't think if you're gonna take the story and make it into a film, I don't know. A lot of people get mad at, well, they didn't do this from the book. They didn't do that. Well, read the book. You're writing, that's that story. If you want that story, go read the book.
Yeah.
You got that story. What they're
Right.
doing here is they're like, oh, that's really cool. It's not, let's retell this, because that's boring. I mean, to me, maybe not to others, but if it's just from the book, then why not just read the book? The whole point, I think, of an adaptation is to adapt something to a film or other medium, and then use those elements and tell your own story with it, And I can't. Jalen, I have ADHD.
What the hell are you doing?
He got up and I was in a moment and now
What are you looking for? What are you?
what is
questing
going
for?
on?
Dictionary. I'm looking for a dictionary.
Why?
There's a French one.
You don't have when?
Oh,
You've always had
I had to use it during this session. I played a session D&D.
Hey, you know what exists? Other phones.
No, that's not real.
Okay.
Those aren't real. My phone is the one true phone.
What would you like to be defined?
The word adaptation.
Okay.
Okay. Well, anyways, I don't know. Okay, I get why. But I like to see things. I like to promote it. I like because I think it's cool. It's like, it's like, okay, here's a Superman story. Let me tell a different Superman story. Let me tell something different. And I like seeing. Like, I know there's that one movie that's coming out with like the little. It's almost essentially it's like, what if Clark Kent came to Earth and was evil? That shit looks fucking dope, and I'm like, oh my god.
Okay, hold on. Bright Burn.
Bright Burn.
Bright Burn.
Burn.
One word. It's a movie that's coming out. There is a trailer out for it. Just the first trailer. Trailer 1 is fantastic. Really,
Oh,
really good
it's-
trailer.
oof.
Sets the whole scene. It's really cool.
Okay,
Definitely
so
check it out.
real fast.
Okay, say adaptation. Yeah.
I don't know what I expected by typing in adaptation definition. The act or process of adapting or being adapted.
Fuck me.
Hey man.
So I will look up adapt.
So, but anyways, that's what I like to see. Personally, this is me.
Hang on. Okay.
Yeah.
Adapt. To make something suitable for a new use or purpose. Modify. Become adjusted to new conditions. Alter. To make it suitable for filming, broadcasting, or the stage.
Perfect.
But also, I like the idea if you're gonna adapt something. Yes, the cool part is, yeah, you're gonna get that freaking superhero movie, but like, you're gonna get that different. I'm always excited. What are they gonna do with it? Okay,
Right.
this is Iron Man. We already know his origins and everything. What are they gonna do that's different? What's the new story?
Okay. This is. I probably shouldn't ask. I'm going to anyway, but because
Mm-hmm.
you brought that up, can I change what your movie is to Iron Man?
How come?
Because I know what I would say about it, and I don't want to change mine.
Can I just?
No, you can keep doing yours. I don't.
Okay, but yeah, because I could go on about the Iron Man movie. I watched it like 7 times when it first came out because it was fucking awesome.
It's the
It's a really
it's
good
the
one.
best MCU movie.
Okay.
I think it's the best superhero movie.
Ooh, no.
You know that's not.
That's not.
What's the better superhero movie?
Dude, okay, first of all,
Unbreakable
everyone's going to
Sword?
argue with you and try to say Dark Knight.
Well,
And
yeah,
I've never
but
even
no,
seen
no,
Dark
no, no.
Knight.
Dark Knight is a wonderful film. It is not the best superhero movie. It's not a superhero movie. It's a drama. It's a character drama. It's a really, really great character drama.
Okay.
But no,
Regardless.
I think Iron Man is the best superhero movie.
It's a good one, though. I mean, it gets dark, it
If you
gets
think of
gritty,
another one,
it's
tell me.
real.
We'll talk about it.
Regardless, I stand by its best MCU.
Yeah, but by far.
Oh, I mean,
Far
yeah.
away.
I don't know if I'll fully agree with that, but
You don't have to.
but
They're called opinions.
Oh, no,
Rios.
no.
You're allowed to have different ones.
I know. Okay,
It's pronounced opt onion.
Oh.
you know what? That's an opinion. Anyways,
You can opt out
So-
of these onions.
as we were saying, we
You
can
always
all.
do. That's all you do.
Is
You're
opt-
just opt onions and opt onions.
Hey, it's my opt onion to opt out of these onions. Okay, I'm sorry, people. I am
not
not
how
as
that
drunk
works.
as
And
I
do you
sound
chop
right
the
now.
onions? Anyways, so I think we can all kind of agree. I don't know if that's what they agree with or not, but I think for the most part we've had conversations about it.
No, yeah, I actually do agree very much. And
Yeah. I like to see what people do different, but I like to also see the cool characters that I know, and I'm like, okay, what are they gonna do this time with them?
Well,
Are
right,
they gonna
because
change them at all?
if you change, like like 98% of the movie and all that's the same, or of the source material, all that's the same is like the dude's hair color, like his name's not even the same, then it's not the same movie, like it's not the same thing anymore.
Yeah.
So you don't want him to change
Everything.
everything.
But you want them to change enough to where it's like, ooh, this is something I've never seen.
Right.
That's honestly could even be considered better. I don't know. But that's not always the case. Sometimes we get adaptations and they suck.
Did it suck?
Now I'm gonna tell you.
Now, I want to preface
Mhm.
to both you and actually people listening. When we're this whole conversation, we're not talking about whether the adaptation was a good product.
Right.
We're talking about whether the story was adapted well. We're not talking about production value or the technicalities of it all, because that's separate. We're looking at specifically the story aspect of, was this story adapted well? Regardless of, because it could be a beautifully produced movie, but if the story is mush, I'm not gonna watch that.
Mm-mm.
I was
So
wrong. Hold on. I'm sorry. Chronicle is the best superhero movie ever. You can continue now.
that's not a superhero movie.
Dude, yeah, it is.
No.
It's just one where no
No.
one wins.
It's a villain movie.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Spider-Verse is the best superhero movie.
Okay.
Iron Man is top 3. All right, continue.
So, Dragon Ball Evolution.
I watched this movie
I watched this movie.
Once.
What you cracking up about over there?
Oh, nothing. No, nothing. Nothing at all. There was no reason why I would be laughing right now. It's completely out of place
Dragon
in
Ball
this recording.
Evolution.
It is a laughable film. It's okay.
Oh God. Yeah.
I was
okay, man.
13 years old, I
Jesus.
believe, and I was so stoked at that.
I do want to answer. I know I've seen this movie once. Have you ever seen it, Jalen?
Yeah, I've seen it like once and a half. I saw it once when I was much younger when it first came out, and then once when I was a bit older, like in full, when I was like, had forgotten it existed. I remembered seeing the trailer and like the beginning of the movie and thinking, this is a super cool, weird, like new age fucking movie.
Dragon Ball Evolution.
It's like a modern day like thing, and like I don't even know if I knew what Dragon Ball was at that point. And then I remember as not an adult, but like much older, looking back and going, "Oh, they made a Dragon Ball live action movie. That's super cool." And I remember starting and going, "Oh wait, oh,
No, oh right,
oh,
no.
that's that." And I was like, "This is gonna be super cool," because all I remembered was the scene where Goku busts out that dude's Chimera's windshield with his freaking Super
Yeah.
Saiyan powers, and I was like, "That was super cool."
Oh, there
I
was
didn't
no
know that
Super
was
Saiyan powers,
Dragon
by the
Ball.
way.
I was so ready to like see what happened, and then I did. So yeah.
So
So how many times have you seen this movie?
I think I've seen it twice. I'm pretty sure once, but I don't know.
Well, you're definitely gonna see it a third time.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I am gonna rewatch it 'cause I'm curious.
Yeah, we're gonna need to do
I
that.
do
It's been about
remember-
8 years. since
So
I've seen
I
it.
do remember
Maybe
that
longer.
they completely changed the origin of everything, which was cool. Like they really wanted to make it its own thing, and I thought that was awesome. I was like, "Fuck yeah, okay, we're getting a fucking teenage Goku. Fucking shit, that's gonna be dope." Like, nah. Like, like Piccolo looked like some freaking bug alien. Like,
well, like a real angry bug alien too.
Like-
though.
and they didn't even call him King. I don't. Maybe they called him. I don't remember if they called him King Piccolo
I
or
don't
not.
remember. No,
I think they did call him King Piccolo.
Okay,
Or,
'cause
like, Emperor. I think
Yeah.
it might have been Emperor.
I think he had a spaceship and shit, which was so weird.
Yeah.
Well, they called Frieza something else.
No, there was
too.
no Frieza.
Frieza
This is
wasn't in it.
before that.
I
Yeah,
thought-
this
I
is
thought
a
they, like,
Dragon
mentioned
Ball.
Frieza.
No,
something.
No, because
They
that was in Dragon Ball
didn't-
Z. This
Okay,
was
then
all,
in that case, they might have called Piccolo something else. I think there was like a
Piccolo.
name that started with a D that they called him. Some sort of weird like.
Well, anyways, they
Didn't
did adapt. They adapt, but they like barely. You can barely call it Dragon Ball anything, except for the fact that there's a Kamehameha, like a few other things. But like there was no.
His hair stood up
His
without
hair
him
stood
needing
up,
gel,
you know,
and
he
that
had
makes
the
him a Super Saiyan.
So they didn't cast a Krillin. I could see a place where there'd be a Krillin as his little high school, guy that's his friend. Essentially, Goku just had no friends at all.
It's true.
Yeah,
And
that
they-
was weird for a shonen protagonist
Yeah,
to have no,
no
friends,
friends.
just be like a high
Yeah.
school outcast.
Yeah.
I can answer why that would be actually.
He
It's
was
not
dropped on his head as a baby, and he's
No.
got superpowers.
No, it's because you. But in the West, we don't have shonen stories. We have like the outcast stories.
Yeah.
So they adapt, and like this is one part. Well, I would argue they did adapt it well.
Right.
They
No.
adapted to a Western
Oh,
audience.
okay.
The protagonist is now the underdog outcast.
Right.
They adapted it to fit the Western audience. That's one aspect I would argue was adapted well.
Okay. But I will say, out of all the characters they chose, they fucking chose Yamcha,
They chose
They really-
Yamcha.
and they
really did.
a great job at adapting him into Yamcha.
Honestly,
Yeah.
kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the
they
fact
really
that they
did.
committed to the biggest
He was
part
like,
is that
hey guys,
well, here's the issue.
Yeah.
That
I'm
this-
cool.
Yamcha doesn't stick around if like, oh, I'm about to die, I'm out.
Yeah.
Unless he gets blindsided and is killed because he isn't out soon enough.
Yep.
Yamcha in that movie stuck through a lot of stuff because he just wanted some poon.
Honestly, yeah. But
In
that
his
is that not
defense.
Yamcha though?
In his defense,
No,
high
he's
school American boy. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a pretty good adaptation.
High School American Dropout. I don't think
Yeah.
he was in school.
Yeah.
But
He was still a treasure hunter, so he had that going for him.
oh yeah, man, they completely rewrote that out of Yamcha's story, man. Anyways, yeah, there was some stuff that was adapted well in that film. Roshi, I think, was still a perv. My memory's kind of blank on it, but
It's such a
it's not a memorable movie.
watching it is
Right.
like entering a fugue state.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. I literally think that I got up, went and like I'd ordered a pizza. I went and got the pizza, came back and sat down, and couldn't really tell you like what I missed or what was going on. Like I think yeah, my whole watching of it was just this like casual like what like I'm gonna go pee real quick and just like come back like it's just running the whole time. And you're like
You know what's clicking for me?
what?
Help me here, because I don't remember Dragon Ball characters.
Okay, go for it.
In the movie Dragon Ball Evolution, the villain, and because he had a female sidekick, is 100%. I don't remember what the villain was, but it's the one that wished for eternal youth and got turned into a kid.
Baby?
No.
No,
Emperor Pilaf.
Oh
is
yeah.
it, like thinking about it, is
Here-
that character, is that not Emperor Pilaf?
It shouldn't be. And also, Pilaf had 2 sidekicks, and he had a girl sidekick.
One was the other dog, which like it's live actions and CG was
Yeah.
garbage at the time, so they wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, just so people know, to kind of place this, it's circa like live action Scooby Doo movies. That's about the time this movie came out, so like it was bad. We're
Okay.
still talking about Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball. Anyways,
Down,
so
that's fine.
there was some good shit that was adapted in it, man. I thought, in general, that was a cool modern day kung fu flick
It was.
for an American, because I grew up watching like a bunch of the Chinese like kung fu movies, like OG Jackie Chan before he started doing comedy and everything, and I fucking love that shit. So I was watching that and I was like, holy shit, okay, that's a pretty good,
I think, I think
kung
really
fu
the
movie.
crux of like the failure to adapt isn't in like how they told the story. The story wasn't great. It wasn't memorable. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't memorable.
There were some good action scenes too in
It
it.
was pretty good. The error in adaptation was the thing you see with most when you go from a long form show or a bunch of books and they try to condense it down into one movie. So the pacing was garbage.
Yeah. yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong with a lot of freaking anime adaptations. Because yeah, it's like, no, there's a reason why why I prefer to want to write TV series instead of movies, because it's like you can tell these grand stories and watch progression in a different way. In a movie, you only have so much time to do that.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm gonna screw you and move on to my own. My
That's okay. I'm changing mine, so fuck you too.
but just real quick, just so I finish it off, I say Dragon Ball Evolution was a good adaptation. Might have not been a good movie. I think they did what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
They changed the story, which I always give people props for. They did their own thing. I thought it was a cool concept. Probably not well executed, but hey, there was really great action scenes, dude.
Yeah, I
In the
would-
beginning, they were balancing on a fucking clothesline. There was at one point where Goku like uses his head to fucking slide on top of a car roof. Like, there's pretty cool shit.
It was wacky and fun.
Yeah.
I think yeah, I agree. It wasn't a great movie, but I think as far as like adapting the idea of Dragon Ball, which was a comic, actually, by the nature of Dragon Ball was a comedy gag, and they turned it into the super serious thing. That's an error, I think, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it over now. My whole bit about adapting is the idea and spirit of the original piece upheld. That's the only thing I care about. And the piece, the film I brought to talk about was I brought here. Look at it all.
I see.
Yeah. But is the recent, what was it? Was it just last year or the year before? But the Netflix original.
I think it was 2 years ago.
It might have been. Yeah, it was.
Really?
I think it was 2017. But the Netflix Death Note adaptation. And I'm out the gate gonna say it was a good adaptation. People will fight me on it, but it was good. People are very upset that the rules of the Death Note were a lot more freeform, but I think that really was good. It allowed for a lot more fun storytelling and more interesting stories, where it wasn't the same kind of situation, but it allowed for the writers to, well, because the rules are more loosely defined, they could do some more interesting kind of fun stuff. And without it being like, well, that breaks the rules. No, because they already said that the rules are pretty loose compared to what we expected. And a lot of people were very upset of Light Turner. It was not in Japan. It was in like Northwest America.
Seattle, I think, is where
Seattle.
it was
Yeah. And
But didn't they already do a live action Japanese version? That was already a thing.
at. Yes.
it was, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Really bad.
And that one followed the story beat for beat.
But
And-
that's why. I mean, they did it in, it was, I think, a 3-part movie. And they tried to adapt the entire series. And even with 3 movies, they had 27, 26, if
I think it
you're
was
like...
26 in an OVA, but I still haven't seen Death Note.
Yeah, I mean, let's call it like, I think it's about 25 if you're wanting, like, the real story. But regardless, on the whole, there was multiples more hours of the entire series that they spent building up the story and the characters and stuff in the anime. And in the movie, yeah, they were only working with about 9 hours on the long end to tell this massive story, and you're not going to be able to do that in that amount of time. There is no way. The biggest problem, everyone's like, oh, there's never a good anime or video game adaptation. And it's like, well, an anime would be easier than a video game. But it's because that's not the medium. To get the perfect adaptation from something that long form,
you have to be willing to change what you're saying, what the story is.
I think you have to be looking to...
You also got to condense it too,
Yeah,
Well, see, I think it's
Make it for a
different. I
movie.
don't think that you should ever try to tell the same story.
Yeah.
No,
I think
like we were
that the
talking,
best thing that you can do is create a new story that evokes that, like you said,
Exactly.
that gives
It's
the
the same
feeling
idea.
of that, but doesn't have to be that, because, like Rios said, that existed before already, and it still does, and you can still go partake of that media, and it's still just as amazing as it was before. Just because a new adaptation is made that you don't love doesn't mean that that old thing gets sullied by it. But also, I think if we were more open to allowing things to change in adaptation, then that's when we're going to find this really, really amazing stuff where people are willing to take these risks with big budgets on crazy ideas. Like, for example, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie that just got its trailer that's fucking insane.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I am so excited. And look, the Joker's one of my favorite characters in the world.
I wanna
The
see
Batman
it.
story is, like, written in stone. You know the truth of everything. There's no Batman in this movie. The Joker makes himself, and it looks amazing.
But also,
so
guys,
excited.
Joaquin Phoenix. I
Oh.
love that man.
Oh, I love that man's dad bod.
That freaking dude, freaking in that Johnny Cash movie, Walk the Line, dude. I seen him.
yeah.
I watched that whole. Ooh.
But my point
Yeah.
being that that's an example of something that may turn out to be awful. I think it's very unlikely. It's a Scorsese inspired, Joaquin Phoenix led Joker crime thriller. I don't think it can be bad. If it, like, at the very least, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But
man.
regardless of that, that's a great example of something that throws everything you know out the window and has the potential to be amazing, because it evokes what you're expecting, but it changes things, like you said.
Yeah, but like with the Death Note live action, the only thing that was maintained was Ryuk, which also
Willem
Willem
Dafoe.
Dafoe.
Oh my God, that was such great
Wait.
casting.
Willem Dafoe is Ryuk, and
The
Netflix.
Green Goblin from the Sam
shit.
Raimi movies
No.
is
I know.
Ryuk.
Oh no, I know Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
He was great in John Wick.
Oh, well, I'm not just talking to you. I'm
Yeah.
talking about everyone.
Oh,
Like,
no, but yeah.
Willem
If you
Dafoe
don't know Willem
Willem
Dafoe,
Dafoe.
is
shame.
yeah.
Shame on you.
And a great Green Goblin.
Yeah, but he's the Green Goblin from the Sam Raimi movies, and he is Ryuk, the like devil on Light's
See, I didn't
shoulder
fucking
throughout
know
the whole
that,
adaptation.
and that's fucking awesome.
And his he plays that character not better. I don't think it's ever really okay to say that like one actor was better than another in a sense like that, in an adaptation especially. But I think that like he does something so
good.
different in a way that I was not expecting, because I really thought, and the same thing happened with Light. I like the movie a lot, actually. I think a lot of people would say that it's not even a good movie, let alone a good adaptation. I think it was both. I had a really enjoyable time, and I love the original series too.
Yeah.
But I think that what I loved the most about this adaptation was you can take it seriously. It's so much less ridiculous.
What are those hand motions?
I'm pantomiming.
Fuck
at Jalen.
you.
Oh, because he always moves his hand.
No.
No, because
Wind
I'm
him
a
up and
fucking
watch him
wind-up
go.
toe. Fuck you.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Go, talk.
But no, I agree. It's fantastic, but the only thing maintained is Ryuk and the book. Everything is different. The character, like, I guess Light's father is similarly a detective, but aside from that, but like, they're adapting it to a Western audience and Western characters, where in the originally Light Yagami's, being a straight A student and his father being a head of police, that gives you a lot of clout in that society. In American society, that means fuck all. So they threw that part of his character out, and so they adapt his character is totally different to make a better story and make a story that feels less disparate. Because sure, they could tell the same story with like a different setting, but it would be weird if an American audience saw, wow, that guy is really popular at school because his dad's the police chief and he has straight A's. He's the valedictorian. People would stop and go, what? Because that's not American culture. And there's all kinds of things like that. Like, God, I forget the bitch's name, but
Misa.
thank you.
Misaka.
We don't have idols in America. We have pop stars. That's the closest thing, but like, it's not the same. It's not the same at all. So we
It's
got
not the
cheerleaders, and like they changed their character to be much more interesting and involved. They changed everything, and it was so great for it. And people are so angry, but like about the director being dishonest to what the story is. No, that man loves Death Note, and he knew exactly what he was saying with the story, and it was so good.
Yeah.
Give us a sequel now, because you set us up for one. We're gonna get it.
But also, I still haven't seen it. But also, yeah, from what I hear, like he kept what is the main point of the story. He conveyed that by telling it. He told a different story, but still conveying the original message.
Exactly.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with doing that either. If your message is loss or maybe some sort of person with a god complex. I don't know. Death Note. I haven't seen it. I know. I still need to see it. But
you should watch it with Sophie.
oh yeah.
Really,
Definitely.
that is such a show for both of you.
Both the show. I do think you and her would. Well, it might be easier for you to watch the show than the movie. She would probably appreciate the movie first though.
Yeah.
But here's the great thing.
The
You're not-
cinematography is awesome in the movie too. Like,
Oh,
it's
really?
a
So
good
good.
movie.
It's a good movie.
It is directed well. It has amazing pacing. Like
soundtrack is-
it's so fast,
soundtrack
but
is
like not in
beautiful.
a weird way. The soundtrack is great. The casting is awesome. You really should
But-
watch at least the movie, if not the
But
show with
but
her.
yeah, like if you still
And audience,
tell the
you too.
story,
Yes, you do.
convey the same as long as they did that, then you're still staying true to the original thing.
Exactly.
You just did it your way,
Right.
and there's nothing wrong with that. I support that, and I hope more people do it in the future.
I'm so glad all of us are in agreement that that's a good adaptation, because I was ready to fight tooth and nail for it.
Right.
Anyone that's, I know Jalen doesn't agree with much of this commentator's pieces, but for this topic itself, actually, if you want to hear more about like why it's a great adaptation, look up
Mother's Basement.
Mother's Basement, Adapt or Die on the film of Netflix Death Note. He goes into so much of why the ideas translate beautifully and why the story works so well. Actually, you should listen to all of his Adapt or Die series, because he goes real in depth about a lot of topics, and I share a lot of opinions with him about specifically about adaptations. But you there?
I hear.
Are you?
I think, therefore, perhaps. This whole time I've been going back and forth because there's a lot of things to talk about. I think adaptation's
yeah.
a really interesting concept because it's done so much, and there are so many things people say are wrong. But I think what I was saying earlier holds true in a lot of ways. I think that wrong gets harder and harder to really define due to perspective as well as time. I think that in the beginning, we as a culture didn't know what we wanted an adaptation to be. You look back in the early ages of cinema, and I mean, an adaptation was as simple as this movie was in black and white. Now it is in color. Why does it have new actors? Because that actor died last year and they were a lead, and now we have to figure out something else. It was, let's make this work now, before they had any way to just put it on a computer and high res it up and release it again. Like, it was, we want to do this story again, akin to running another run of it in the theaters, but we don't have the technology. They didn't even know the technology would exist to recreate this actor or anything like that. So we're just gonna make it again. And in the beginning, I don't think it was a bad thing. I think now adaptation has this really negative connotation because a lot of people, at least that I hear in the very vocal side of media commentary and critique, is that everything's an adaptation. Everything has been done before. Nothing is new. Everything is just the sequel or the redo of this movie. And I think that's fair in a lot of ways, but I think that the connotation is unfair, and I think it's unfounded, but also harmful. Because a lot of the great things that exist now that people would say were original aren't. In fact, they may be beat for beat the same story because a lot of stories have been told over the course of literally 2 millennia of human existence. And in the beginning, while those stories may not have been put to paper or put to movies or whatever, they still exist. The likelihood is, yeah, that if you try to think of a story that's, quote, completely original, there's probably something that existed before that. People talk about the Joker being an amazing, amazing character. And they talk about Heath Ledger having an amazing portrayal of him, right? And he does. They talk about how original it was and how no one had ever done it that way. Well, guess what's crazy? Heath Ledger is quoted as having said that, and this is where it gets really insane. There was a black and white movie way back in the day, The Man Who Laughs, and this was the movie that inspired the concept of the Joker. My knowledge of who created the Joker is blanking right now, but The Man Who Laughs was the movie that inspired the character in the beginning. And Heath Ledger's portrayal, he went on record saying that the way he got his cadence, the way that he spoke, the timing of the way that he was saying those things, and the facial expressions, as well as the intonations in his voice, was from watching The Man Who Laughs and attempting to portray that character. Not the Joker. Not the Joker from the comic books. Not the Jack Nicholson Joker. Not the Cesar Romero Joker. Not any of the ones that came before. Not even Mark Hamill. Literally, he said his only preparation, other than reading the comics to get the lines and stuff, was The Man Who Laughs. The original inspiration for the character. And everyone says how new and just completely unexpected and amazing this portrayal was. And yes, it was an amazing portrayal, but it wasn't new. It wasn't unique. And I think that is what it comes down to with adaptation is I don't think it has to be new to be amazing. I don't think it has to be unique to be amazing entirely. I think what's important is that it's good. Just on its own, without having to look at what came before, without having to look at what might come after, or what's coming out right now. Does this stand? So, throughout this whole conversation, I've changed my mind a million times on what I was going to talk about. And now, I've decided. The Jungle Book.
Ooh.
The Jungle Book movie that came out maybe 2 years ago.
It might have been longer. I think
It might have been
like 3, 4,
longer.
honestly.
Maybe 3, 4. Yeah, I might have actually still been in college. But regardless,
Do you think you're in college 3, 4 years ago?
3 years ago. We were in college 3 years ago, weren't we?
No, man.
Was it really only 2? Oh
Hey,
my
hey, buddy,
God.
when did we graduate?
Hey, one of my
Okay,
topics that
okay,
I have
hold-
for
hold
Evoked
on.
Thoughts, the perception of time as you get older.
Hold on. Okay.
Find out next. Yeah.
2016 is when we graduated
Okay.
high school.
And
4
spring-
years from then would be 2020. Oh my God! It's only been 2 years. What the hell
Oh
is
no,
time?
it'll be 3 years this spring.
Okay.
This May, it'll be 3 years.
Okay. Wow. That's
Feels longer,
crazy.
doesn't it?
Ugh.
Isn't it weird? Remember when we were young and everything felt so...
It's a different conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I do. This movie, regardless of when it came out, how young or old I was, it blew me away. I have never been a fan of Disney. Never. Literally never. I didn't grow up with it. I didn't care about it. I didn't like musicals as a kid for the most part. As an adult, I've grown and my tastes have
I
not
love them.
refined in any sort of ostentatious way, but just like I have found love for, musicals.
It's
but
okay. You can say you learned to tolerate me.
no. I actually that's not the point. I recognized that I was all right with liking people singing, and that gay was not something that had to be directly related to your tastes in. I watched Glee and figured out that I was pansexual. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Moving on from that. The movie was completely really mind-blowing. I've seen amazing things before. I've seen things that have done things that are unique, that stand on their own. But this movie, I can't even tell you if I knew the story. Going into it, I didn't know who the villain was. I didn't really know what happened to the kid. I just knew, like, oh, there's this little kid and there's this bear, and the Bare Necessities is a song from there, and like I had the kind of general knowledge of it, but not really an idea of the story. I might have seen it as a kid at some point, but like to sit there and just experience it as just a movie. It didn't have to be a Disney movie. It didn't have to be laced with nostalgia for me. It was just this really, really impressively shot, really well. The CGI was like next level. You really could not tell at the time. I'm sure now it's been outpaced, but I could not tell that these creatures weren't real. And
That's because all of it was CGI.
well, yeah, but I mean that's what I'm saying. It was all so well done that there was no narrative dissonance. There was no uncanny valley. There's no expectation that one thing was going to be something else. But in watching the whole story, it was really, really just good. The entire story from start to finish, the actors and the way that they portrayed these animals, the main actor who, Jesus Christ, was like 12 at the time and was acting at like pretty high tier, man. Especially, like, I want to say especially for a child actor, but like that wasn't even really what that was. That was just really good acting, like as an actor. Because then you listen to his conversations in interviews and stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, you're just a kid. So the fact that you're portraying this completely different, like, child from a totally different time period, and you're like 12 is amazing. But yeah, I mean, Scarlett Johansson playing a very like negative connotation character, but not necessarily like a villain per se. And Christopher Walken playing a ridiculous orangutan that sings, and like Idris Elba as, oh god, what, Khan was his name, I think. Is that his name? I don't know. I really don't know Disney, guys, sue me. But it was just, yeah, it was something that really showed me something that I had never really expected to see before, which was that you don't have to like or know something to be able to recognize it as good regarding adaptations. I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't expect it. But what they made there, regardless of if it was the same as the source material or not or whatever, it was just good. I think, though, that there is also something to be said about changing. And I think that when something is really well known and when it's really understood, especially if it's recent, I think that's one of the biggest problems with adaptation is when something happened quite recently and then we try to do it again. Cough, cough. The Force Awakens. Just absolutely A New Hope, like shot for shot. It's really impressive.
I mean, A New Hope was like a while ago, man.
Yeah, but like, come on.
What do you define as recent? Because the Jungle Book was released sooner than.
That's not my point. I'm talking about something also well known, though. Something that's that like.
What's Star Wars?
Well, it's a series of wars in the stars.
Huh.
Anyway.
I would really argue it's a singular war.
Well, yeah, Star War is kind of the colloquial. Unimportant.
Why is it even the
My
stars?
point on
It's
adaptation.
a galaxy far away. But
Oh!
But it's a
long.
long time ago.
How do they have future swords?
Because the
Because
past
it's in
is
the
also
galaxy
the
that's
future.
far away.
Look,
Exactly.
It's funny because we're all Star Wars fans, actually.
We're huge.
huge Star Wars fans,
Like-
we're fucking nerds.
Yeah.
Jesus. I wanted to make a point, and now it's been lost among everything.
You're
But
welcome.
really, what it all comes down
Sorry.
to for me, I think, is a two-parter, right? I think that there are a lot of different ways to do it, but I think that the two ways that I've seen it done really well at adapting something is either, like I said, the Jungle Book, where I don't think it really mattered what the source material was. I think that was just something good. And I think on its own, it stood as something good. And if that was adapting that story, or if that was adapting the way that those characters are, adapting the idea of the themes and things like that, I don't know. But because I still have not seen any other Jungle Book, to me that is the Jungle Book. But I think the other example of something that can be adapted really, really well is something that, yeah, is changed very, very significantly to the point that you don't really recognize it nearly as much as you would expect to, which I think is a great example of Death Note. I think that to look at something and be able to say, like, if I had seen Death Note, the movie, and then later, like if that had come first and then later I watched the anime, I don't know that I really would have been able to tell you that this was the same thing. You know what I mean? Unless I had them both sitting there and remembered that that movie I saw back in the day was called Death Note. And that's kind of what's interesting about it to me, and that's what I think was so good about that adaptation, and why that's another way it can be done, is because it's something that doesn't have to be what it was before. It just has the same point. The goal of Death Note was for it to be this really intense, well written kind of cat and mouse game between these two very intelligent characters. And what I think was amazing about the Death Note adaptation, the movie on Netflix, is that those two intelligent characters, they just switched who they were. Everyone was expecting going into it that it was gonna be light and elegant. It's not. Sorry for the spoiler. I won't tell you who it is, but going
Yeah,
into it,
please don't.
it really isn't what you expect. And by the time you come out of it, you're like, oh wow. Because they took a lot of liberties, and I think that those liberties paid off, and I think that they can, and I think that a lot more creators should be okay with that and should allow that, because I don't really want to see an adaptation of the thing that I already know. If all you're gonna do is take something and make it live action, or take something and do it again but with different actors, unless you're really putting something into that that's gonna make it different, I don't know. I mean, because the Jungle Book to me was amazing, and it will stand always as my experience with that. And when someone brings it up, that's what I'll reference, because that's what it is to me. But there are probably people who didn't like it because it wasn't like what they knew. And to me, I think that that's, that sucks, because I don't think that that's how we should think about it, I guess. I think that we should go into it as the consumers with the idea of, this is a new piece. We can have what came before as a reference, sure, but it shouldn't define how we view what's coming now. I think that what we watch should just be what we watch. What we read should be what we read. It's new as far as anyone is concerned, And I think that it's important to treat it that way and not make it beholden to what was, because what was can still be great. And if something that changes in the new thing is a good change, if maybe they fuck up something that you thought was really great in the original, but they change something that you thought was really bad in the original and make it better. There's a lot of ways people can see stories, perception. And I think that's a really important part of this whole conversation.
I think to sum up, my favorite adaptation is When Fish Develop Lungs.
My favorite adaptation
Yeah, what's yours?
was really just the transition from, the Arthurian legends into Star Wars. I think that was a really good adaptation of the Arthurian legend.
Wait,
Now
what?
just let that sit for a second.
No, that's
really
not bad.
think about it. Even the poster, the original poster, is the Sword in the Stone.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I think
Yeah.
my favorite is the story of Christ to Harry Potter.
Yeah, I think that's fair too.
I think
That's a good one.
one.
Except I don't think Voldemort really did a good job portraying Satan. I think he should try harder and maybe find a nose somewhere.
I would argue Voldemort represents Rome.
In the story of Jesus?
Yeah. Jesus is an Israelite. Let's talk about this. Let's not talk about it. But
Let's not talk about it.
but no, I
But that's
think
fair.
Voldemort represents Rome.
That's fair.
Except the Romans win in real life. Sorry, spoiler.
Yeah.
Spoiler? Spoiler for the Bible.
Voldemort basically
Wait, I
doesn't
didn't
win.
get to read that one yet.
Which one? The Bible or Harry Potter?
Both.
They're both Bibles.
What about
To some people,
my
yeah.
favorite
that's depressing.
adaptation? We're gonna go deep with it.
No, we're not.
Oh, we're going there.
I'm going to cut off your nipples.
No.
That's okay. That's his least favorite adaptation.
Yeah.
I'm going
Because
to
you know,
Um,
you know, the only thing we figured out to do with those two is pierce them.
It's true.
All of our vestigials were just like, you know what? Fuck it. Just put holes in it. I don't know. Put something pretty there because it's fucking weird. We're just like, yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this fucking pinky toe.
I like how
staple a gem to it.
I like how Birdman was really just, the Divine Comedy. That's my favorite.
That stays, yeah.
You mean like Harvey Birdman?
Isn't there a Birdman with Louis C.K.?
Well, that's not how anyone else would describe the movie. There's a Birdman with Michael Keaton. Louis C.K. is in the movie, I believe, somewhere.
Oh.
But he's not really the operative character.
I've never seen it.
But yeah, we've had a lot of fun talking about this conversation, had a lot of laughs, and I think just we probably, I think, have kind of come to the conclusion that adaptations are good so long as, like, it's recognizable as what it's trying to be, and it keeps the same, like, intention of the original story. Would you agree?
It evokes the same feelings.
Ooh, different. I don't know about feeling, but because that's the entire thing, I could go on for like a good 3 hours about films and
don't.
book theory, but I'm not. I think I like that, but I like invoking the same like message. Maybe that's better. Maybe not always message, but overall theme.
Yeah.
Theme is good.
But,
Like we were talking about earlier.
regardless, I think we've come to the conclusion that an adaptation doesn't have to and probably shouldn't, on the whole, just be a recreation.
No, it's an It's called an adaptation for a reason.
You're making something.
Change is the most important.
Change.
You're making something new. Embrace that.
I know we're afraid of change, and you know what? We only ever talked about writers not being scared, but people, audience, don't be scared. Accept the change for what it is. It could still be good.
Yeah.
Stop coming in
go
with
into
these...
something expecting to have fun.
Don't be
Or
that
at
guy
least
at the...
just Don't go in expecting to hate it. Regardless,
I'm not poking it.
thank you all so much for coming on this, conversation with us. I think
More.
it's great to have this conversation because it's. I think more and more we're in a culture where we love adaptations, and I think that's great. We should, but we should hold it to a caliber where, like, we should love good adaptations. We shouldn't just want the same old thing because, hey, that same old thing exists. But regardless, if you have any thoughts on the topic, let us know. Go down in the comments and let's have a conversation. All the same time, thank you all so much for listening.
Goodbye.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you. Just one last thing that I want to say is that coming here soon, we've switched to this bi-weekly schedule, and hopefully you guys are, all right with that. We're not trying to,
If you keep up with the Facebook,
do less
you
work
should
or anything.
know.
That's definitely for sure. And yeah, what I was going to say is we've got our Facebook page now, and we've been announcing or hinting at some kind of stuff that we're working on, but we've got some amazing stuff, and we're going to be really excited to start showing it to you guys. If any of you want to get more information on that or kind of see, in between these episodes, what we're kind of talking about, we do have a Facebook page now. If you haven't checked it out, please go. It's, let's see, Evo Productions on Facebook.
God knows who runs it.
And yeah, no idea who that
Nobody.
sorry guy is. And then also, we've got our YouTube channel, which is where you're going to be seeing this, and hopefully we're going to be putting some more stuff up on it. So thank you so much for sticking it out with this ridiculous period of just like transition and tribulation that we've been going through. But we're definitely in a place to start making wonderful things again, and we really hope that you guys stick around and stay on this journey with us. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.